Hey, it's been a while. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, you might remember my past Franchise Hockey Manager videos. It was actually Franchise Hockey Manager 6 the last time I recorded a video on the game series. Yes, that's how long it's been. But if you're new, welcome. We're going to be looking at the new features Franchise Hockey Manager 9 has to offer, which will be released November 8th. If you're interested in what I have planned for some new Franchise Hockey Manager content, stick around until the end of the video. Let's hop into it. So if you haven't seen the notes on Steam, the reveal trailer, or the live stream, it was about an hour long that the developers did, you can check that out on their YouTube channels or, of course, on their Steam page. But I'm just going to do a quick rundown of some of the big features and my thoughts on them. So the first one, and probably the biggest one, is the addition of college hockey. This is a huge add to the game. There's special mechanics for the college hockey leagues, like a recruitment system, managing scholarships. If you're a fan of the old NCAA football games, like I am, this is just an amazing thing to have initiated into the game, especially hockey being my favorite sport. And I'm sure a lot of the people who play Franchise Hockey Manager, hockey is likely your favorite sport as well. And I've never seen a college hockey game. And in my opinion, it's just one of the best brands of hockey. So I'm really excited to jump into this mode. Next up is the Make This Work mechanic. So this is something that's pretty common in other sports games. It usually comes in the form of like find a trade kind of thing. And I sort of like the style that Franchise Hockey Manager had in terms of making a trade flesh out over a long period of time, rather than just making infinite trade requests in the same day. An opposing GM would take 3 or 4 days, sometimes more, to get back to you on a trade, which is realistic, but it is a video game after all. And, you know, it really takes away from the experience when you're basically just making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or more offers to a GM, and that can take like 2 to 3 months to actually get anything through if it's not the trade deadline. So this definitely is a good ad, and I think it will be very much used, and I think it will be also just a good barometer of where GM is at. I'm hoping there's going to be some sort of middle ground that you can find from this other GM's offer. For example, if you don't go with the exact offer that they suggest with the Make This Work function, you can haggle a little bit and maybe find something in between. Overall, I think that's a really necessary ad, as it does save a huge headache. More stuff on trades. There's also, in terms of no movement and trade clauses, players can now provide a list of teams that they're willing to go to. In the past, I remember trying to trade someone that had a no trade clause, and they could basically say they could say no to 20 teams. They have a list of 10, or I suppose now that would be 11 teams in the league that they would be willing to go to. And, in the past, you just need to try all these different trades, get one to kind of work, and a player will be like, no, I don't want to be traded to them, and then you have to cycle through all the teams until you find one of the ones that they want to go to. So this is great. It's just it's a time saver. It's a time saver, just like the Make This Work mechanic. You can now also have protected draft picks, which will, of course, have less value than straight up trading a pick. But if you're kind of on the cusp, you're thinking, I'm kind of a playoff hopeful right now. My pick might be in the 10 to 15 range if I miss the playoffs. I'm fine trading that away, but you could wind up tanking. And if you don't want to take that risk, you can protect a potential first overall pick, or say it's in the top 5, you get it back, and there's some other sort of compensation there. But yeah, so I think that is a good and realistic mechanic. The AI will actually more actively shop a player as well if that player is holding out on contract negotiations, which is a very realistic thing. Whether or not they actually execute a trade while a player is holding out, I guess we'll see. But I like seeing that a player like that will go on the trade block if a team is worried they might not be able to sign him, because what would happen a lot is that the AI would not trade that player, kind of bank, I suppose, on signing them, not be able to sign them. They go to free agency, which can be a little bit unrealistic. That only happens once in a while where a big star winds up going to free agency. Next up, we have injury deferral. So this is another one of the big updates here. So you can now choose, with some types of injuries, whether to have a player play through it and seek treatment once the season ends, or if they should just immediately seek treatment, say a surgery or something. So this is super realistic, and this is just great to have, especially in a game when you don't really have control over when a player gets injured. Not even in the sense that, say, in the EA Sports NHL games, you are playing the game and your player takes a big hit and gets injured. You feel like you have a little bit of control over it in that instance. But in games where you're just simulating, like in Franchise Hockey Manager, a player gets injured and it's kind of like a mathematical equation behind it. So it's nice to have a little bit control in that as to whether a player is going to play through that injury or go seek recovery. Now, like I said, this is only with some types of injuries. So if you have a guy with a concussion, I imagine they're not going to be able to play through it. Or if someone tears a muscle, they're not going to be able to play through it. But with other injuries that maybe your guy's going to be out 2 to 3 months while they recover, you can have them play through it with less skill. If you have Bobby Orr injured, he's not going to be the same old Bobby Orr. He'll be a beta version of Bobby Orr, I suppose. Can really, it's super frustrating when your star player goes down right before the playoffs or something and they're forced to be out for 2 to 3 months. You now have a little bit more control. Okay, we're going to make this guy play through because we're going for the cup. Might wind up missing some time at the beginning of the season, but this happens all the time. Take the Bruins, for example, this season. They had Matt Grzelcyk, Charlie McAvoy, and Brad Marchand, all who received treatment during the offseason and then came back late during this season, but that was the trade-off of having them play through the playoffs last year. So it's a great add, a headache saver as well as just realism. Now, something I'm really excited about here is that in the team tactics, it's now going to provide feedback on what players the tactic's good for, what players the tactics aren't good for in your lineups, and it's going to be extra clear. And that has been something that frustrated me when going through tactics for the team, and you might have seen it in some of my past videos when I'm trying to do that. I usually just kind of gloss over the tactics because I don't fully understand. Like, it's so tedious, especially as your roster, as you have injuries and all that, you're making trades. As your roster changes, you really have to keep going in and tweaking the tactics. If you have a new first line set up, you flipped your wingers around in that top six, then you're looking at change it. It was just super tedious to figure out what worked out for everyone. So I sometimes just left it in the AI's hands because of that. And so I'm excited that now I can go in and change tactics with the confidence that I can know what I'm doing a little bit easier. So that's going to be good and big, especially for me. Hopefully for some other folks too who found the tactics to be a little bit confusing, especially when you're first entering the game. There can be a lot thrown at you at once. This is going to be especially good for beginners and people like me who need a refresher and just find it frustrating in general. And then this is the final one I'm going to talk about, team harmony. So we've sort of seen this in past renditions of the game, but it's kind of been non-existent in a way. Like, I feel like I could play multiple seasons and this wouldn't really come up, like the player morale system and stuff. And that sort of felt similar to the EA Sports NHL games, or even any of the EA Sports games, where there's some morale, the guy isn't getting enough playing time, they don't like it, whatever, but it's not going to derail your locker room. Now it's going to have a bigger impact on your locker room. It's you can also have problem players. So other GMs will stay away from these problem players. If you're trying to trade them, their trade value will go down. They might not sign them, and factions can also start forming in the locker room. So all of this sort of stuff, really, I think it's going to help make the make the locker room come alive a little bit more, which is great. And I'm kind of interested in testing out how much I can basically deplete my team's morale. Can you get like a 0 team harmony by just signing all the problem players or instigating something? I'm interested to explore that, but I'm excited about that because other sports games have implemented it and it hasn't really been in depth. This sounds like it's going to actually have an impact on how you play the game and what players you sign. So I'm excited about that. Of course, there are some other additions too, but you can see the full list of those on the game's Steam page, Out of the Park Productions website. And the developers, like I said, also did a big reveal stream that you can find on YouTube, as well as a trailer that you can find on YouTube on their YouTube page, Out of the Park Developments. And, you know, for me, I'm getting the game November 8th. And it may take a day or two before I post any videos. I really also want to try out some of the new mechanics, maybe before I start a video, but something tells me I might just get really excited November 8th and play a little bit anyway, record something. But I'm going to keep at least one series going, I think. I'm kind of torn between college hockey, NHL, just straight up current day NHL. A history thing will probably wait, but I also want to do another Nothing to Something series, if you remember that, starting unemployed, signing with some European minor league team and trying to work your way up. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you plan on sticking around or have been for a while, what kind of series you want to see. I think college will definitely be one of the first ones. I might have 2 going at the same time. I don't want to have like 4 going at the same time, so we'll stagger them a bit. But I am really excited about that college hockey one. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you didn't know much about the game yet, hopefully this taught you a thing or two. Hopefully you're interested like I am. And yeah, I'm excited to get back into doing a little bit more YouTubing. Hopefully I can keep it up. I have a tendency of not once I get into it. But I still see comments on my old videos. Hey, are you going to bring this back in some way? So it seems like there's some people interested. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the near future. Bye-bye.